practitioner asked that they wanted to study and learn about meditation. Regarding meditation in Buddhism, we have many different methods. But generally, there are two main schools: patriarchal meditation and Theravada meditation. When we talk about patriarchal meditation, also known as Mahayana meditation, we learn from Buddhist history that after Shakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment, after Prince Siddhartha became the Buddha, he also taught various types of meditation to his disciples, from the first jhana to the fourth jhana and 8 samadhis. Over time, the Great Assembly had practiced for many years. Regarding the tradition and history of the meditation or Zen school, one day, Shakyamuni Buddha was on Vulture Peak Mountain. He gathered the Great Assembly. At that time, he did not say a single word. He just sat in silence. Seeing the world-honored one seated with such dignity and tranquility, the entire assembly naturally followed and sat in complete silence. After a while, he then picked up a lotus flower. When he held up the lotus flower, among all the disciples, only the great Mahakashyapa, who was the foremost great disciple in the practice of Dhutanga, broke into a gentle smile. And after Mahakashyapa smiled, the Buddha then said, "I have a Dharma gate, a special transmission outside the scriptures, a transmission from mind to mind." This means transmitting directly from the Buddha's mind to the disciple's mind. This mind-to-mind transmission was then bestowed upon Mahakashyapa. And from that point on, after the Buddha entered nirvana, Mahakashyapa became the first patriarch of the Zen school, which is also known as Mahayana Zen. Later, Mahakashyapa transmitted it to the second patriarch, Ananda. Ananda, in turn, transmitted it down through the lineage to the 27th patriarch, Pranatara. And Pranatara transmitted it to the 28th patriarch, Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma, originally from India, later traveled to China to propagate the Dharma. During the Liang dynasty in China, after Bodhidharma arrived to teach, Emperor Wu of Liang invited him to the palace to ask about the way. However, due to incompatible karmic conditions, Bodhidharma traveled to the state of Wei, to Songshan Mountain. There, in the Shaolin cave, he sat in deep meditation for 9 years. This is known as 9 years facing the wall. As he waited for the proper time and for a person with the right spiritual capacity and special karmic affinity to receive the mind seal of the Buddha, which had been transmitted down through 28 patriarchs. One day, a former general who later awakened to the way renounced the worldly life and came to seek the Dharma from him. This person was later known as Huk, or Patriarch Huk, who eventually received the Dharma transmission from Bodhidharma. Thus, Bodhidharma was the 28th patriarch in India. Upon arriving in China, he became the first patriarch of the Zen lineage there. Bodhidharma transmitted the Dharma to Huk, who became the second patriarch. Huk transmitted it to the third patriarch, Senkin. Senkin transmitted it to the fourth patriarch, Daoxin. Daosin transmitted it to the fifth patriarch Hongren, and Hongren transmitted it to the sixth patriarch Huining. And from the sixth patriarch Huining onward, the Dharma was transmitted to many renowned disciples. And from that point, the Chinese Zen school, also known as patriarchal Zen, began to flourish greatly. And this patriarchal Zen method is precisely the practice of directly pointing to the human mind, seeing one's true nature, and attaining Buddhahood. The states of realization, awakening, and meditative attainment cannot be grasped through ordinary vision or worldly reasoning. For example, in Vietnam, there have been masters who, after attaining realization, allowed their hair to grow and lived outwardly like lay practitioners. Yet they continued to uphold the Dharma and remained in the pagoda to guide sentient beings. There were others who, once they had fully realized the mind seal of the patriarchs, no longer resided in monasteries, but entered the world, engaging in all kinds of work to benefit and liberate beings. Thus, the depth of their awakened mind cannot be measured or fully understood by ordinary judgment. Furthermore, some Zen masters manifest as lay people, such as the great layman Tuesday Trung during the Tran dynasty in Vietnamese Buddhism. The great layman Tuesday Trung is considered to be an incarnation of a great bodhisattva, yet he manifested as a lay practitioner. So, this is a brief introduction to the patriarchal Zen. As for original meditation, we see that it is also known as the meditation of Theravada Buddhism. It was formerly called Hinayana meditation, but now it is referred to as original meditation. This refers to the methods of contemplation, such as mindfulness of counting the breath, contemplation of the impurity of the body, the impermanence of the mind, that feelings are suffering, and that all phenomena are non-self. These are the methods that the Buddha taught in the Agama Sutras, or what are known as the Nikayas in the Theravada tradition. In those scriptures, the Buddha taught these contemplation methods, especially mindfulness of breathing. In Mahayana Buddhism, this practice is called Shamatha Vipassana, often practiced in the form of seated contemplation. If you want to learn about and practice meditation, it is imperative that you find a teacher who practices meditation. Without a teacher to guide you directly, it is very easy to go astray. This is because when you focus on practicing meditation, you are entering a spiritual path. And if you are not skillful on a spiritual path, it is very easy to get lost. Let me give you an example. Imagine entering a maze without a torch, without a guide, and without the necessary tools. You could easily get lost inside. And what's more, the maze could be filled with wild beasts or dangerous snakes and scorpions. Without a light and the proper equipment, you could easily lose your life in there. I use this example so we can understand that to practice meditation, you must have a teacher who has truly practiced, who has attained realization in meditation, and who has extensive experience on the path of contemplation. Only then can they teach us correctly. Otherwise, it is very easy for us to go astray. Currently in Vietnam, there are quite a few who call themselves a Zen master. And some boldly assert that they have attained the noble fruit of arahantship. Some monastics who practice Zen now also claim to have attained the noble fruit of arahantship. Some lay Zen practitioners also claim to have attained the fruit of arahantship. However, we know from the Buddha's teachings, both in the Nikayas or in the Mahayana Sutras, that the Buddha did not permit his disciples to boast and openly claim that they had attained the first, second, third, or fourth fruits of arahantship. Even if someone has truly attained the four holy fruits, they are not allowed to speak of them. Therefore, those who claim to have attained the holy fruit of arahantship are all speaking falsehoods. It is all delusion, all the work of Mara. In this Dharma-ending age, it is not just Zen practitioners who get caught in Mara's net and believe themselves to have attained holy fruit. This even includes Pure Land practitioners. In the Pure Land practice centers where I teach, I have witnessed a few cases where Pure Land practitioners also mistakenly believed they had realized the practice known as single-mindedness without distraction. In recent years, we have seen quite a few monastics and lay practitioners who practice the Pure Land path and mistakenly believe they have realized the state of single-mindedness without confusion, and are thus certain to be reborn in the Pure Land in this lifetime. But this is not the case. After some time, we see that these people go astray and deviate from the Buddhist path of liberation. Right now in Vietnam, a certain layman in the south has become prominent. He has established a new Zen sect, claiming that this Dharma gate had been lost for thousands of years and has now been retransmitted by the Buddha. They established a Zen school called Thinh Tong Tam Di, Wondrous Mind Zen School. After the head nun of that pagoda passed away, these lay followers took over and now reside there, establishing their own sect. They claim to have realized a special meditation method of the Buddha, a so-called secret Zen, or secret mind seal of the Buddhas that had been lost for hundreds, even thousands of years, and is now being retransmitted. And these people have written books claiming to reveal the secret that the Buddha has retransmitted to them. If something is called a secret, how could it be written down in books and transmitted so openly? That's not possible. Therefore, I advise those who want to learn about meditation not to study it solely through the internet. The internet is only for watching. Online platforms such as YouTube may be used only for viewing and gaining a general understanding. To truly practice meditation, you must have a teacher. The teacher will instruct and correct you in every detail of the practice. For example, when entering meditation, what should your posture be? How should you breathe? We should not think that breathing doesn't require training. When learning meditation, breathing must be trained, and the sitting posture must also be trained. Everything, including body, breath, and mind, must be trained. Yet the most difficult part is the training of the mind, the practice of contemplation. Our minds are restless, constantly wandering. Therefore, only a teacher who has truly cultivated meditation and possesses extensive experiential knowledge can properly guide us. Without such guidance, it is very easy to go astray. After sitting in meditation for a few days, weeks, or months, when the mind becomes slightly calmer, certain experiences and visions arise. And we may easily fall into the mistaken belief that we have already attained realization. After a while, they begin to speak incoherently and behave abnormally. I have encountered quite a few cases like this. Some practiced Buddhist meditation, others non-Buddhist meditation. A few years ago, I met many such cases. This year, from the Lunar New Year until now, I have not encountered any, but last year alone, I met 2 or 3. When they arrived here, their hands and feet were trembling uncontrollably, and they were no longer fully conscious or lucid. This was because they learned meditation online. They were very interested in meditation and Buddhism, so they went online, downloaded materials, and practiced on their own. They felt they didn't need to go to pagodas or seek guidance from Zen masters. As a result, after only a few months, they deteriorated into such a condition. When they came to the pagoda, it took me several months to gradually assist them in regaining a normal mental state. Some cases required an entire year, some several months, and some only a few weeks, but most require several months to stabilize. Therefore, I suggest that if you wish to practice meditation, you must seek a teacher and rely upon a teacher for guidance. If you wish to study the patriarchal Zen method, you should go to the proper place and seek authentic instruction. In Vietnam, the teachers who can systematically guide patriarchal Zen practice are found at the Truc Lam Monastery of Da Lat, where Most Venerable Thich Dao Thinh restored and revitalized the Truc Lam Yen Tu Zen lineage. In northern Vietnam, you may visit Truc Lam Yen Tu Zen Monastery or Truc Lam Tay Thinh Zen Monastery. In the provinces of Thanh Ho and Anh An, there is Truc Lam Bach Ma Zen Monastery. In Hanoi, you can visit the Truc Lam Sung Phac Zen Monastery. In Bias Ninh and Bi Sejong, there are also Zen monasteries belonging to the Truc Lam system, established and guided by the Most Venerable Thich Dao Thinh. These are the reliable places for you to study and practice patriarchal Zen properly, so you won't go astray. If you just go to random places, seek teachings indiscriminately, and I'm telling you, you will get on the wrong path. At some point, it will be hard to turn back, and you won't even realize that you are lost or have been deceived. So, those are the proper sources for learning patriarchal Zen. As for the contemplation meditation of Theravada Buddhism, you should seek out the monastery models of Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. You should read his Dharma teachings and listen to his lectures. Then your practice of that form of meditation will be more balanced and safe. Alternatively, you can go to the south to follow the venerable teachers there. If you wish to learn original meditation, go to the south to practice centers of the Most Venerable Thich Chek Ton and other venerable teachers of the Theravada tradition. Learning the methods from them will be more proper. Do not just practice indiscriminately. After a while, if you go astray and fall into a state of delusion, it brings great suffering. It is better to remain an ordinary person and not study the Dharma at all than to study it improperly, which is very dangerous. This is my meditation advice. Due to limited time, I cannot elaborate further on this. I simply encourage you to seek out those venerable master at those locations to learn meditation. There may be other places I haven't mentioned, but based on my experience and understanding, the places I've mentioned are among the most reliable places for meditation practice in Vietnam today.